Welcome back to the Voices of Women Summit, where in honor of International Women's Day 2023, we are raising the voices of hundreds of women so their messages can be heard. Your host for this session is Tracy Root. Tracy is the founder of the Gather community. She has another amazing guest coming right up. Take it away, Tracy.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to what we call track 4 here in the Voices of Women Summit today on International Women's Day. Super excited to be here once again with our next amazing and uplifting speaker. Today, right now, we have the amazing Julie Little with her talk about victorious VIP voices. And she's going to explain what that means. We talked a little bit, and I'm really excited to hear about what she has to say. But let me read a little bit about Julie. Julie Little is a Mind Valley certified life coach. I know what that is. That's really cool. I don't know if I know anyone else who's certified through Mind Valley. So I love that. She's an author and a longtime educator. Julie follows the spiritual teachings of, I don't know how to say his name, Thich Nhat Hanh. I'm going to do that. How's that? Was that right? Yay.
Perfect.
And she shares her mindfulness and meditation practice with others. She's been studying longevity and lessons from the Blue Zones by Dan Buettner for many years. And she currently offers her one-on-one and group program called It's My Turn, Dare to Go from Depleted to Delighted. Oh my gosh, I love that so much too. I'm so excited to hear what you have to tell us about Victorious VIP Voices, Julie. So please tell us where that comes from, a little bit what that means, and how did you get to be doing what you do?
Thank you, Tracy. I'm really glad to get to know you. I think I've seen your community, but I've not ever had a chance to have a conversation
We'll catch
with
up
you.
after.
So yeah, this is great. This is great. And I'm glad to have a co-host, Jennifer. I just saw something that Jennifer was doing. So I would say that it's kind of like a lot of people's stories. My upbringing was based on lack and scarcity. And you will not ever really have a great relationship was sort of my expectation. I had like specific things. It's kind of like the not being enough, which I know other people are talking about. But I was taught that I shouldn't have more than one pair of shoes because I only have one pair of feet. And I was taught at the my age of like 9 and 10 that I should only have red clothing because everything should match. I should be able to put on red socks and red jeans and red sweater and easily get ready for school. And all of that stuff was just interesting. In order to. The other thing that I remember is going to a place where everybody was getting ice cream and I wasn't able to get ice cream. And that has had a big impact on me. And it's had these voices in my head that come from not just my parents, but also what I believed, and so you believe what you're taught. And I was taught that there's not enough to go around. And the people that have good I don't know, jobs and income and or maybe inherited money or whatever like that, they're bad. They're evil, they're stingy, they're mean, all that meanness stuff. And so that was not me. And it was sort of the spirituality, which is kind of funny because it was a non-spirituality, but it was the idea that you're more, it wasn't even religious at all, but you're a good person if you're struggling and you have nothing, right? And you're everything has to stay tiny amount of money, tiny amount of food, tiny amount of everything. In college, I had to do some sort of a deal with somebody in order to have the money to buy a coat. And I lived in New Jersey, so it was cold. So it was just the plain burger at McDonald's, it was just such a life that has been in my head for so long. And so I find that to be like the opposite of VIP, victorious voices. It's more of okay, you're doing the best you can, and this is really all you can ever expect.
Wow. And so many thoughts swirling, right? The idea of everything staying small, from how much money you're spending to how many things you have to what you're eating to how big your personality is.
Yeah.
on top
Yeah,
of that. Ugh,
exactly.
wow.
And that goes into the not standing up for yourself. And I
Mhm.
guess that's where this turned around. And that's kind of what I describe in my book, which is light on the pond scum. I kind of feel like some of that was pond scum. And then the light came after I figured some of this
Oh,
out
I
and
love
learned
that
a few.
analogy. Yeah.
Yeah, there is light, but it's sort of like it took a while to study and research and work on it. But to stand up for myself meant not to listen to those voices.
Yeah. So how did you turn that around? How did that work? How did that happen for you?
Well, I mean, it wasn't quick and easy. It was slow. And yeah, light on the pond scum. Part of the process, it was just separating myself from those adults
Hmm.
totally, and finding people who had a different view, finding people who had this sense of enoughness and there is enough to go around and they can have good relationships. I went through, divorce number 1 and divorce number 2, which kind of like floored me. And I started doing the spiritual search for peace, just wanted a sense of peace.
Yeah.
And in doing that, I kind of found that I am this person in this normal everyday historical dimension, but I'm also, the soul and the spirit that I've always been. So that gives me a whole, and a lot of people have talked about that today, a whole nother perspective of, oh, I can have freedom from all that.
Mm,
And so that's what I started trying to do.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that's good. That realization, that light, as you say, turning on so that, it might be shining on the what you view as pond scum, but it's also like illuminating the possibilities beyond it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm,
The world had been voices. I'm thinking about this voice thing,
mhm.
no and can't and never. Those were the
Yeah.
voices. And they had and shoulds, a lot of shoulds. And I hear a lot of other
Mm,
people talk about, well, I should this and that. I shouldn't save money or I should save money, that kind of thing.
yeah.
So this is sort of a way of changing that voice.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned that or in your bio, it was that your group program is about going from depleted to delighted. And there's that light part of
Mm,
the word again,
yes, that's
right?
true.
So tell us a little bit about when you're doing that program, when you're working with your clients, how are you helping them to kind of have that realization that they can have light when they're feeling flat?
Yeah, sometimes that takes some time. Usually, by the time I work with someone in the It's My Turn program, they at least want that. They don't know how to get
They
there,
have
but
some awareness, they're just not
uh-huh,
sure how
they
yet.
want that to be different. Exactly. They don't
Okay,
know how.
great.
And so it's really just, as a life coach, it's mainly just listening and picking up on, okay, where are they stuck?
Yeah,
Is it
trying to
so?
find those hints, right? As
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
talking and they
finding the
don't hear
hints of
it.
where people are stuck. I worked with a client a few years back, a woman who was having physical ailments, and she was, upset stomach and pain, and she didn't know why. And when the stories of her life came out, she had the voice in her head that her mother hated her. And she had been given that message through her mother for decades. I mean, she was in her early 70s when I met her.
Wow.
And she had always known, no, 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 my mother hates me. I'm sure
Yeah,
of it.
whether her mother was there to tell her anymore or not, she was there to tell her.
That's right. And
Yeah,
that was the copy, that was the tapes in her head. And
yeah,
so we went back in just discussion of it and found out, just no research, just her, that her mother had been jealous of her when she was born because her dad loved her and doted on her so much. So
yeah,
she was treated as if she were a hated thing because of that jealousy. And
yeah,
once she could see that that's what this was coming from, it eased and it let go. And her mother was still alive. She was actually able to visit her mother
Wow. Oh, okay,
and
great.
have a good conversation. And her physical ailments, her self, imploding kind of
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
was changing. It was just so amazing to watch. I saw her after a 6-month program, and she just looked bright and light, and there was that light.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that story so much. And wow, what a gift that her mother was still with us to be able to have that conversation, because that closure, if you're in your 70s, is unlikely to be the case,
Yeah.
right?
Well, they didn't have any of that conversation, actually. It was all just
Oh, it was
in the
just within her.
she knew better than to bring this up with her very elderly mom. She
Got
didn't
it.
do that. But you know what I mean? That it was just the gift and the freedom of knowing what this was from and that it wasn't her.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't
She
her.
hadn't messed up by being born. She hadn't done anything wrong.
Right.
She just could understand, the understanding and compassion that leads to all kinds of freedom.
Yeah. Well, and what's that to
Did we
hold on to as well. Oh, are you still there? Did you hear? I don't know if you heard what I said.
I
I
didn't.
think I
It seems like
froze.
it froze, but I'm hearing you
Yeah.
now.
But we're back now. Well, what I was saying was, I think that, not only did she have that realization about the story about her mom being jealous, but she also got to revisit the fact that her father loved her so much. And
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
the jealousy part of it was a piece, but also this, immense love that she had for her father
Yeah,
is also part of the story that's in her head too. And that's a wonderful piece to kind of
that's true.
recall and
That's
notice
true.
that, you can take that with you too. That's beautiful. I love that. Um, this is so inspiring and heartwarming. When you're talking about, I know that we're going to talk about what you have to offer for your free gift, and we'll put that in the chat in a minute, but it's titled 3 Ways to Lean into Happiness. So tell us a little bit about, we've got the voices in our head that are keeping us from that happiness. And now we're going to lean in. I know that your freebie has 3 ways. Give us a little hint of one of them, so that people will definitely go and grab that right now so that they don't forget.
Absolutely. So one of the things I was going to just teach today is
Yeah.
that you start to listen for it's a little bit about mindfulness of what's really happening. Listen for what the voices say to you when you mess up, or when you don't have enough of this, or something that happens in your life. Listen to that and then go write that down.
Mm,
Go write down, I just heard the word stupid in my head. I wonder where that came from. And don't even have to figure out where it comes from. Just writing it down. Okay, I just called myself stupid for stubbing my toe on the couch again,
mm,
or something like that. And then the question I would want people to ask is, would I actually say that to a friend?
right.
Probably
Mm,
not.
right.
Probably not. And the next question would be, if you've come up with something that you came up, you heard in your head, like, oh well, you're always such a loser, or you're just too fat to do
So
this,
bad
or
at that.
you're so bad at that. And I'm not visible out there. I watched one of those today, about visibility. Any of that, you can ask yourself, is it really true?
Right.
Is it really true that I'm stupid, or that I'm lazy, or that I don't really know what I'm doing? I don't have any social media skills. Well, wait a minute. Maybe I have some. I have a whole lot more in place than I had 10 years ago. So, is it true? That's the next one. Very good. Thank you.
Mhm.
And were those people right in calling you that? Because those tapes come from somewhere. The can't and don't and never and
Yeah.
all of those come from somewhere. Were they right? That you really don't, you're lazy, or you're too old, or you're too young, or whatever? And the answer needs to be hell no. It's like, hell no. I'm not that. So
Yeah.
that's when the victorious VIP voice needs to come in. And that is, talk to yourself as a VIP. and
Mhm.
talk to yourself as a VIP of your business or of your company or of your organization, your nonprofit.
Yeah.
I am the VIP. In my company, I am the entire company, So yes, I'm a VIP. So hell no, I know what I'm doing and I know exactly where I'm going. And, I might be taking longer to get there than some people, but that doesn't make me any of those things that I just called myself. So you can turn it around and you could say, I do have the skill, I will, I'm getting the help I need. Um, how about I already did it? I already did that. I already published the book. I already, you know, did the summit. I already, those are the kind of victorious type of voices that we
Yeah.
really want.
You had the success. You did the thing.
Yep.
You already great.
Yep.
I love that. So wonderful. The the I think that it's such a thing for women to forget to celebrate when they have had the success that they've been searching for, because we always think that it's not enough.
To the next thing.
Yeah. We got to keep going to the
Yeah.
next thing because there's always
Okay.
more to do. And we
Okay.
don't take the time to stop and celebrate, right?
Right. And then we kind of diminish it, okay, I
Mhm.
published the book. So now what am I going to do? Okay, now I need to start this next thing. So I
Yeah,
think I don't know if this is like another way to look at it, but if you have a plant that's not thriving, it's not getting enough whatever. And so you don't call the plant stupid, you don't call the plant lazy, you don't tell your friends, oh my gosh, I have this dumbest plant.
stupid plant.
Right? Isn't that crazy? You actually look at what's new, the nutrients are.
Mhm.
What is the light that's feeding that plant?
Yeah.
So if your plant, your internal plant isn't growing, you could be thinking about what can I do to be the light for that plant?
Mm,
So the idea of be the light that you need to thrive.
I love that. Your internal plant. So I have historically been kind of the brown thumb gal. However, I have 3 successful plants in my life now, which is new compared to 15 years ago. And so I love that analogy because it's also me that has been more successfully happy than, probably 15 years ago. That was a pretty dark time. And so I love the idea of the light that feeds the plant is the light that feeds us. And if we're not getting that nourishment and warmth and love from ourselves, from our circumstances and from ourselves, then all we're going to be doing is withering and kind of getting crispy along the edges too.
That's right. That's right.
Beautiful. I love it.
And you see that happening in people that you know.
Yeah.
You see people
Yeah,
that are not thriving and you're wondering, okay, why are they not thriving? Because you don't know what's in people's heads.
for sure. And I mean, unless that you're intimately connected to them in their lives in general, in their heads, what else is feeding them externally even too, right? And I love that you brought the light analogy back again, because it is such a reminder. And I think that whenever we look at a light or have the sun shining, we can remember that same thing too. How is this light, and how are the things, and how are the thoughts that we're having feeding us to be able to thrive?
Right, the voices, the
Yeah.
VIP voices.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
If you're not going to be the light that you need to thrive, who is?
Mm, yeah. And if we think that someone else is, we're not in control of that. Like, we can't control the sun shining and the clouds covering up the sun. All we can do is like imagine it. So we can bring it to ourselves by thinking it and feeling it, even if we can't see it and aren't getting it externally. This is a great analogy to take forward. I love it so much. I want to thank you for that so much.
Yes, thank you, Tracy.
All right, so let's make sure that everyone gets your freebie, 3 ways to lean into happiness, because we want to make sure that people grab that now, because we all know, as well intended as we are to save chats and go back to recordings, that it's really hard to remember and to find the time to do that. So go grab that now. And before I ask you for some final words, I want to share for everyone here that our next speaker is Jackie Mott, and her talk is going to be called Believe All Things Are Possible. That sounds really inspiring too. I'm looking forward to that. Jennifer Takagi, my fabulous co-host, is actually going to be taking over for this track for a little bit. And we're switching back and forth this afternoon, which is super fun. We all get to meet so many amazing people. So Jennifer will be taking care of Jackie here in track 4 starting on the half hour. And before we go though, Julie, please give us some final thoughts that we can take with us as we go on to our day.
Well, a way to be the light that you need to thrive is to treat yourself, like we said, as a VIP. And that is like the next speaker. That is like listening and finding out, is there a positive in the messages that you give yourself? And if there's not, play with that.
Yeah. Maybe you can find a different way to find the light in something that doesn't seem to be there, right? It's all a journey, not just a journey, but like it's a search and rescue is what just came to my brain, right? We've got to go find it so that we can, live the life that we're looking for. So great. Julie, thank you so much. I'm really excited to get connected further to you. I'm definitely going to check out that freebie of yours, and because who doesn't need more happiness and joy and light in their lives? And you definitely brought it today. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Tracy. Good to see you.
All right. Well, yeah, you too. We'll see you all soon. Yeah. Oh, Jennifer got your Kindle book, Light on the Pond Scum. Love it. Yeah, everyone can check that out too. And Julie, we'll see you again soon. And we'll see all of you here on the Voices of Women Summit. Cheers.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another amazing session of the Voices of Women Summit, where our mission is to raise the voices of hundreds of women so their messages can be heard. For recordings of all sessions, plus an amazing VIP gift bundle, upgrade to VIP now. If you have any questions or problems during the summit, email our support team at support@voicesofwomensummit.com. Stay tuned. We have another fantastic speaker coming right up.